Welcome to the WTF podcast. My name is Molly Smith, and I am on a mission to equip 1 million people with the tools to recognize when they're in the funk, but more importantly, how to pivot out of it. Today, we're going to talk about what it means to sit in the funk and actually honor that space. Explore what it's trying to teach us and create safety there before the next step reveals itself. My guest, Jillian, knows this space all too well. She's a trauma-informed coach who blends metacognition, which I just love, and mind-body connection with radical self-love to help people create lasting change that honors their whole person. Through her work with educators, she empowers them to reclaim their identity, regulate their nervous system. So if you have ever found yourself in a funk and thought, I should be further along by now, then this episode is for you. Let's explore what it looks like to find freedom in the funk with my guest, Jillian Pawlowski. Jillian, welcome to the WTF podcast. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Molly. I am so glad to be here as well. And just to hear you announce what we'll be diving into today, to explore what it means to sit in the funk, to explore the funk a little more slowly. I already just feel this sense of relief. I love this topic. I can't wait to dive in with you. Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Oh my gosh. And just for the listener, when Jillian and I first met and kind of talked about what this episode could look like, she brought up the idea of actually talking about when you are in the funk. And I haven't told that story. We haven't shared this yet. And it is so important because guys, listen, I mean, we end up in the funk. I don't know about you guys. I end up in the funk multiple times a week. Like, it's just a part of life. It's just part of this human experience. And so there are some things that we can do to create and hold space for ourselves when we're in the thick of it, right? And so we're going to talk about that today. But Jillian, first, tell our listeners just a little bit about you and what you do, and let them get to know you a little bit.
Okay. I support educators, and I want to pause here with the word educator for a moment. In Empowered Educator, which is the magnetic company that I partner with, where we serve educators, we include a huge umbrella in the word educator. So an educator is anybody who works with a student or a child or in a school system at all, and including parents, because the goal is to support and create thriving school communities, which includes everyone in the student and in child's life. So when I say we support educators, I mean you parents, I mean you bus drivers, I mean you administrators and organizational leaders. Everyone is included in this community. So I support educators in reclaiming their voice, reclaiming their joy, reclaiming their identity, because we can no longer leapfrog over the needs of the adults in learning spaces. I also was in higher education for years before I transitioned to become a coach and partner with Empowered Educator. And so I know the funk that educators experience, parents experience. It's funky.
Yeah.
It's funky. And there can be funky chapters, funky eras, funky decades, funky days. So I'm excited to explore, the macro funk and the micro funk, and really be here a little longer, because I think what many educators experience is exhaustion and burnout. And so we know so much needs to change, and that can just be one more thing we have to do. And it can feel like added pressure to, if we pressurize the getting out of the funk, it can just also add on to the exhaustion that many educators experience. So to explore the funk from a different lens and in a different way, a different approach to the funk can really be relieving, alleviating, and then maybe even energizing and inspiring and motivating, because we're not judging the funk. We're not desperate to get out of it when we treat funk differently.
I'm a big fan of the universal laws, and the funk is kind of like the law of contrast, right? When you are experiencing something that is not what you want, that is the contrast, right? And we have contrasts like light and dark, and as an example, right? And so when we think about when we are experiencing the funk and we're experiencing that which we do not love, or that which does not energize us or which drains us as the contrast, then that actually is a place of clarity. We're getting clarity on what it is that we want and what it is that we don't want. But I think too, and then Jillian and I were kind of riffing about this earlier, is there has to be some level of self-awareness that you're in the funk, right? And so part of the pivoting out of the funk is that awareness of, okay, what is it that I do want? And do I have that or do I not have that? Right. And identifying, okay, am I in the contrast? And what can I learn through through this season or this funk that you're in?
Yeah, that's how we start to begin to experience the funk as the gift bearer that it is. And I
Yeah.
know when you are in the funk and you're experiencing so much of what you don't like or don't want, that it's hard, right? This isn't about positivity bypassing and saying, it's great
Correct.
that I'm in the funk. Rather,
Yeah.
there's a piece of acceptance or acknowledgement or awareness
Yes.
that we start with. And when you approach it differently with this awareness that what is this here to show me, here to teach me? And that contrast of, well, I know what I don't want and this is it,
Yeah.
is what can kickstart and ignite the consideration of
Right.
what I do want.
That's
And that's a
exactly right.
gift. And that's a
Yes.
gift.
Yes. I mean, the funk can be a mirror for clarity, right? Because we are experiencing that contrast. And sometimes, and I don't know about you guys, but I know I'm in the funk. I have certain coping mechanisms that I have leaned towards in the past. Back when I was drinking, like my being in the funk or coping with the funk was that daily 1 or 3 glasses of wine. When I gave up drinking, it was binge watching, Grey's Anatomy or Scandal or something that I've seen a gazillion times. It was my way of quote unquote checking out because I didn't have the wherewithal or the desire to do something different. So I get in, even today, after all the healing and all the work that I've done, I'll still sit in my funk like a 2 to 3 year old toddler until I'm ready to make a change. Right.
I think that's such an important
Yeah.
differentiator to make is allowing yourself the grace,
Yes.
the moment of rest and recalibration. Sometimes we need the mental health day. Sometimes we need the Netflix and the ice cream and the sobbing to our bestie and the, just venting, right? Sometimes we, let me even not even say need, but deserve a
Yeah.
level of give yourself a break. And is
Yes.
a coping mechanism so bad? Only you can truly know that for yourself.
Yeah.
And I would love to invite that your body has the wisdom to tell you when you are ready to get up,
Yes.
from
I
from
agree with you.
the crying or from the pity party that you deserve. Okay, we all deserve a
Yeah.
pity party
Without
every now and
judgment,
then, but how long? Correct.
yes.
How long do we stay is up to you.
Yes, I think, and I'll tell you, I just recently got done working with a coach for several months, and I was talking to him about like these coping mechanisms that I have when I'm in the funk. And he's like, okay, so what? It's like, give yourself permission to, sleep one of the days of the weekend or to binge watch whatever it is. Like, if that's what you need in this moment, then honor that. Right now, when that becomes days and days and days on end, or you're getting into some destructive patterns, that's where I think it's okay. We need to maybe think about what is this season going to teach us? What are we learning about ourselves? What kind of changes do we need to make in our life so we don't end up back here or getting clarity on what we actually want? Right.
Yeah, this is reminding me of self trust because if you fully allow yourself to be in the funk, to feel your feelings all the way through. If you
Yes.
fully allow yourself to have the break without judgment, right? Because if we're resting while our brain is busy judging ourselves for resting, we're not really getting the true rest. So if
Correct.
you fully trust yourself and allow yourself to go there, to have the rest, to lay down in the funk, to explore what gems are here in the funk without immediately trying to change it because you need to be fixed and you have to keep going, going, going. When you allow yourself to fully have it, the funk,
Yeah.
I think that you experience the breakthrough faster. It's like the opposite of what we've been taught. Keep pushing through, and that's how you get the breakthrough faster, 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 more, more, more. But really, if we
Yeah.
can trust ourselves to fully have that funky moment, to fully be in the funk, to fully love ourselves in the funk, and to fully love the funk, when we
Yeah.
can fully allow ourselves to go there, I think the breakthrough happens faster.
Well, so let's dig into your story a little bit because you've done a lot of inner work and there have been seasons in your life where you didn't have that level of awareness that I'm going to sit in it because it's going to teach me something. So tell me about a season for you when you were in the funk and you didn't quite have the skills that you have today. Tell us about that situation and how you eventually got out of that funk.
The season was when I was in higher education and it was time for me to get my bachelor's degree. And my supervisor had said, Jillian, please get your bachelor's degree because you'll get more money and we can promote you and all the great things that come with a bachelor's degree. And I said, great. What do you want me to get it in? Because I was just climbing the ladder and not knowing.
Yeah.
I had done no inner work at the time and had no level of consciousness to truly believe in myself and know, Jillian, you should be following your passions. Jillian, you should do what excites you. Jillian, you should follow your heart and your dreams. That was outside of my awareness and belief system. I didn't know that that was a thing people did. So I was asking him, well, what do you want me to get my bachelor's degree in? And he said, we don't care. It checks a box. Just get whatever you want. And I hated that response.
Yeah.
And that was the funk that first came on where I started to access an inner locus of control, that inner agency. And it was extremely uncomfortable at first. It was not this beautiful gift I was excited about. Yeah, I can do whatever I want. Thank you. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Pick whatever I want. That was so daunting to me. And that contradiction, it seems so silly to be offered, pursue whatever you want. And me be like, no, please tell me what to do. This is so uncomfortable because now I have to trust myself. And so
Yeah.
that's that great discomfort of trusting myself to choose what I want to do and following my heart and my passions was so uncomfortable. And that's when I began down the path of, okay, what is healing? Okay, what is growth? Okay, how do I do this? Somebody help me because I don't know how. That was when I
Right.
first realized, wow, you don't know how to choose for yourself
Yes.
what support is out there for you.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So as you have gone and done some of the inner work, and now you have that skill of kind of sitting in it, tell me about what a different experience that is.
It's it's a profoundly different experience. And when I say that, I mean
Yeah.
knowing how to sit and be in the funk does not make it comfortable, does not make it enjoyable. So let me just, dear listener, when you start to play in the funk and experience the funk and slow down in the funk, uh, and you're like, wait, they made it sound like it's amazing. It's still not. It's still funky.
Yeah.
But I began to work with my mind and body connection, my nervous system and my awareness and my level of consciousness, connecting those, strengthening that relationship so that way I could create safety in my nervous system when it wanted to run, when it wanted to fight, when it wanted to fawn or freeze out of the discomfort.
Yes.
I then began to know, okay, wow, this is profoundly uncomfortable. Let's create some safety in our body because we are safe. We're just uncomfortable. And so expanding my capacity for discomfort was a huge gift in strengthening how long I can stay underwater, right? How long I
Yeah.
can lay down in the funk. And that's when all
Yes.
of these gifts come, right? The muscles that I grew of self-trust were
Yes.
impeccable because I got to say, no, actually, nothing needs to change right now. I get to just breathe in this moment. Actually, I'm still whole in this moment. And when you start
I'm still
to
worthy in this moment. I'm still worthy in
exact,
this moment. Yes.
and what greater muscle to grow is there than that? And that's a gift of the funk.
Yeah,
That's a gift of the funk.
it is. Okay, tell me. So you're speaking the language, sister. I'm going to tell you, like, I am all about the nervous system regulation stuff. So, what are your go-to nervous system regulation like routines and habits and stuff?
I have so many, and it's so important to collect a diverse range of somatic practices. Somatic just meaning of the body, but because some work some days better than other days. And some
Yep.
work for certain funky eras better than others. A simple, easy, accessible I have is my breathing techniques. So maybe you've heard of box breath or 4-7-8 breath or alternate nostril breathing. Breathing technique is a simple one that I can practice on the go, even while I'm sitting in traffic and the traffic gets funky.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A one that I love to, like, I'm breaking out the big dogs. When something is a bigger funk, I like to lay on the floor. That's a
Okay.
somatic practice that just makes my body feel safe, like it has nowhere to fall. And it almost feels like a very chill tantrum. I just lay on the floor and breathe until my body feels safe.
Yeah. I love that. I do the physiological side quite a bit. That works for me on the go. Also bilateral stimulation. So like butterfly and kind of tapping. I love EFT tapping. I also EFT tap. Love, love, love it. So I think it's important to call out is when we are in the funk, our sense of safety and security, all that root chakra stuff. Again, that's all my jam. I love it. But that nervous system being in fight or flight or fawn or freeze like that, reinforcing that you're safe in the moment and realizing you right and getting that on a nervous system level, not just a positivity, self-talk, whatever, which I'm all about affirmations and positivity and all of that, but not at the expense of or in lieu of regulating your nervous system.
Yeah.
Like that's between naming your emotions, like naming your feelings in the moment and regulating your nervous system. That is the whole shooting match, friends. That's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. If you can do those two things, you are going to be able to sit in the funk and understand what it is trying to teach you. I don't know about you. I think that, and I'm a person of faith, and when I am in the funk, a lot of times I'm staring through the peephole in the door. I did an episode a little while ago on peepholing, where all you see is that view outside the peephole of your front door, and there's so much disconnection in that. When I'm in the funk, it's because my view and my context is so focusing on the lack of what I don't have or what I don't, what I want and don't have, or a circumstance that didn't go my way or a misaligned expectation. But it's that opening of the door, it's the regulating of the nervous system and getting back connected to the bigger picture. And that's like every funk is designed. Well, I would say every funk is designed, but I think every funk I've been in, when I can look back, it's like there was a learning in that. And sometimes I learned it and sometimes I didn't. And I laid it in that funk again and again and again and again. Right. I don't know if you'd ever had that where it's like you're repeating the funk or the lesson until you finally freaking get it. Right.
Yes, yes. But thank you so much for saying that, because I love this conversation where it normalizes the funk. Everybody experiences it. It is part of life. And we have sometimes a funk that we get to sit in a few times or more. Yes, of course, I've experienced that.
Yes.
And if somebody says they haven't, they're lying. We're human. Let's
Yes.
normalize our humanity
Yeah.
and our fallibility and
Yes.
be proud, knowing that it doesn't mean anything about you other than you are a gorgeous, complex human who is fallible, who is
Yeah.
funky and funkable, and still whole and still
Yes.
worthy of love and still worthy of being proud of themselves, even if they're in
Yeah.
the funk. And the moment that we can say funk is not an if, but a when,
Oh yeah. For sure.
maybe we can relax a little into it. And then maybe once we relax into it, then our prefrontal cortex will come online for the
Yes.
critical thinking and the creativity and the
Yes.
connection and the big aha moments. But don't rush it.
Yeah.
Just treat your body, the whole self,
Yes.
to whatever it needs, trusting that it knows. It will
Yeah.
tell you, especially the more you develop that relationship. And so if you're like, well, my body doesn't know anything and it doesn't talk to me, that's okay. That's a perfectly beautiful place to be on a journey. Now you heard it here on the What the Funk podcast. So maybe this is your invitation to start exploring the relationship between your mind and body so that way we can start to relax into the funk and know that it doesn't mean anything about us and that we don't have to immediately fly off the handles and cause ourselves more stress and anxiety and judgment to get out of it. But knowing that when we're ready, we will. And having that awareness of listening to the body when it says, okay, I'm done with this coping mechanism. I'm done with this self-regulation technique. I've
Yes.
also had enough of being in the funk. I'm ready to stand up now and walk
Yes.
out of it in whatever you bring with you as a gift. That
That's exactly right.
hindsight.
Yes, it's exactly right. And, I've told a lot of stories and I'm still collecting stories of people being in the funk and pivoting out of the funk. And I absolutely love that because the goal here is to equip people with how to do that. But when you're in the funk, if you try to force yourself out of it, like by brute strength, and I don't know, I'm a type A, whatever. And I am like, I've got to be productive. I've got to be blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I can give myself time and space for feeling in the moment and allowing myself to sit in it a little bit. And what I've found is that if I pivot out too soon, I'm going to land right back there. I'm going to land right back. Like if I'm trying to brute force my way out of the funk, that's a problem. Or at least it is for me. I don't know if it has been for you, but it's important to give yourself time in there to figure out what it is you're supposed to learn because there's always a nugget in there. Always a nugget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every single time there is a nugget. And
Yes.
actually, I
Yes.
love that you said that because I'm just now realizing that, you know what? Yeah. Anytime I've had to learn something again and again and again, it's because being in that discomfort of the funk was too much for me. And so bless my heart with the knowledge and the capacity and capability I had at that time. And I rushed through it and pushed through it or forced out of it. That's okay. Because I learned it again and you're going to learn it again. But
Yes.
that is a great point about rushing out of the funk and how premature it can be sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, the universe will give it right back to you.
100%
Here you go.
it will.
You didn't enjoy this gift all the way. Here you go. It's back.
It's coming back. Exactly. And, that's part of it because I believe that, we're all on this kind of path to becoming more aware and more conscious and all of that. And so when you think about, do we want it? We want to be aware of the funk. We want to hold space for it. We don't want to avoid it because all that does is it suppresses whatever you've got going on. It'll create some trapped emotions. I'm all about releasing the trapped emotions and so forth. You don't want to avoid it because that creates other issues, but you want to build that awareness and figure out what it is you are supposed to learn from it. So, okay, Jillian, so let's talk about top takeaways and tools for the listener who is in the funk. So if you're in it, what would you share with them? What would be your kind of top couple of things you would say if you're in the funk and want to be able to hold space for yourself in that?
Number one. Okay, I'm going to have a top three because I don't know in which order they fall, but one of them is learning how to create safety in your nervous system, learning how to navigate yourself between fight, flight, freeze, fawn, stress response, and rest and digest and chill. Learning more about your mind-body connection is such a gem or battle buddy for the funk because the funk is uncomfortable. And so the more you can remind your body that it's actually safe, as long as it is, right? The more access to your brain and your creativity and your connection you'll have. So creating safety in your nervous system, loving on that mind-body connection is always going to put a little spoonful of sugar in that funk.
Yeah.
Number two, I think is grace, kindness, and compassion. Always is the answer. Sprinkle that on everything, but having that for yourself, even when you're in a funk, is important. And I know how easy it is to forget. I know how our minds are wired to show us loss. And many, many, many of us, if not all of us, learned judgment and criticism growing up, either in the environment we were raised in or in various places and spaces, we learned judgment and criticism. And so reteaching ourselves limitless, limitless, abundant, generous kindness, even in the funk, especially in the funk, is important. And if you're like, I don't know what that means, what would you say to your best friend? What would you say to your child or someone you loved so much? Your students, what would you say to them? Because it's easy to be kind to others, and it can be harder to be kind to ourselves. So I would say, the other thing to remember, have on hand in your next funk is kindness and grace and compassion.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. This has been such a great conversation. I would also add to that the Empower practices that I have, and I'll put a link in the show notes, has a lot of what Jillian also spoke about, as well as some of those other nervous system regulating tools. And so you can download a copy of that for FREE. But listen, please, if you are in the funk, rewind and listen to the sucker again. Okay. Because it's okay that you're in the funk. We want you to hold space for yourselves and figure out what it is you're supposed to learn in this season. And then please, if you know somebody who is in the funk, please, please, please share this episode. Listen, I'm on a mission to equip 1 million people with the tools to recognize when they're out of funk and pivot out of it, but also to hold space for yourself when you're in it. Can I get an amen? Okay. So
Amen.
yeah. So please share this episode. Jillian, thank you so much for bringing this topic to light in this conversation. I so appreciate it. Everybody, we'll see you next time.